Question 3 gives me a data set. Again, your data set in the sample test might be slightly different than the one I have here, but my goal is to find the mean, median, mode, and then create a dot plot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reorder these, smallest to largest. So that's going to become 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9. Just to double check that I have the right number of measurements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I go to find the mean, I'm going to add these together. 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9. Divide by the number of measurements, which is 8. When I put that into my calculator, I get 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9 as a total of 56. I'm then doing 56 divided by 8, which gives me 7 as a mean. When I go to do the median, since I have 8 numbers, I really am going to find out where the median is by doing position equals n, in this case 8 plus 1 divided by 2. That gives me 9 over 2, or 4.5. That tells me I'm going to be averaging the 4th and the 5th numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th number is 7. 5. 5th number is also 7. If I average something with itself, I just get that same number. If you want to see it done out, 7 plus 7 over 2 gives me 14 over 2, which is 7. So the median here is also 7. Mode's probably the trickiest one, which is weird, but in this case, I have 6 twice, 7 twice, and 8 twice, 5 and 9 only once. So 6, 7, and 8 are all parts of the mode. I would want to write my mode as 6, 7, 8. When I go to do part D, the dot plot, basically I just should line up 6, 7, 8, and 9 across the bottom and put dots for how many times they occur. Sorry, 5 is included as well. So 1 dot above the 5, 2 above the 6, 2 above the 7 and 8, and 1 above the 9. Question 4 is a question where I'm going to have to find variance. They talk about 2 different ways to calculate variance. Basically, it's 2 formulas that get you the same place. I only showed you the one way to do it because in general, students got confused when they were given both ways. So my recommendation is just to put the same answer for A and B that you get from doing this the way that we learned in class. After you get that same answer for variance, taking the square root will get you the standard deviation. Notice that everywhere in this problem it says sample, not population, so we're going to be using the n-1 version of the formula. First thing we need to do is find the mean. So the mean is going to equal all these added together, 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 divided by 8, the number of data points that we have. When I add these all together, 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1, I get a total of 18. When I do 18 divided by 8, that gives me an answer of 2.25. Now that I know what the mean is, I need to figure out the squared distance from each data point to the mean, which I'm eventually going to add and divide by n-1. So I have 1 twice. It's going to be 1 minus 2.25 quantity squared. When I put that in my calculator, 1 minus 2.25 quantity squared, I get 1.5625. Remember that 1 occurs twice in the data set, so I'm going to multiply this by 2. That's how I get 3.125 as the total of both of the 1's. When I do it for 2, it's going to be 2 minus 2.25 squared. When I do 2 minus 2.25 squared, my calculator tells me 0.0625. I see that I have 1, 2, 3 2's, so I'm going to multiply that by 3. When I multiply by 3, I get 0.1875. Now I'm going to do it for 3. 3 minus 2.25, quantity squared. That gives me 0.5625. When I look at my list, there's 1, 2, 3s. So I'm going to multiply this by 2. That gets me to 1.125. Finally, I have to do it for 4, which there's only one of. 4 minus 2.25, quantity squared. When I put that in, 4 minus 2.25, quantity squared, gives me 3.0625. So I'm going to need to be adding together 1, 2, 3, 4 different numbers. Again, really I'd want to do this individually for each data point. I just recognized that I had repeats, so I multiplied the answer by how many times it repeated. When I add all these together, 3.125 plus 0.1875 plus 1.125 plus 3.0625, my total is 7.5. So that 7.5 represents the total squared distance that I am from the mean. But my formula tells me after I do the summation of all these squares, I need to divide by n minus 1. So really what I'm doing is that 7.5 that I got divided by 8 minus 1. When I put into my calculator 7.5 divided by 7, it gives me 1.0714. I need to look back at what it tells me when calculating the sample variance, how many decimal places to go to. So when I look at the assignment, it tells me that it wants me to go to 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places, 0.0714 is 4 decimal places. Just double checking, the digit that I dropped was a 2. If this 2 had been 5 or larger, I would have to round up. Since it's 4 or less, I can just get rid of it. So this is my correct answer for the sample variance S squared, 1.0714. It's the answer to both of the first 2 questions. So really they tell you to calculate it 2 different ways. You absolutely do not need to calculate 2 different ways. If you calculate it one way correctly, it'll be the correct answer for both questions. To then find the sample standard deviation, I take the square root of that 1.0714. When I do that, second root, second answer, it gives me 1.0351. So the key thing to remember as you're doing this, first find the mean, then take each data point, square the distance from that data point to the mean. Make sure you're accounting for any repeats. Since there's 2 1s, I multiply my result by 2. Once I can summate all these squared distances, divide by n minus 1 because it said it's a sample variance. That's going to tell me the variance. Once I take the square root of it, that's going to tell me the sample standard deviation.